All right, good morning, and good morning indeed for all of you that are just joining in, and for those that started with us. Before the break, I was mentioning about how we're going to be discussing the details of the Labor Day celebrations. Labor Day celebrations will be happening this week, at the end of this week, so that is early next week, first day of the week. It will be on Sunday. And it will be a public holiday that day, and of course we shall be celebrating the employees, the employers, and everyone in the labor sector in Uganda. Whether you're in Uganda or you're also operating from outside, it's the International Labor Day celebrations. And with me here today, I'm joined by the Workers MP. Is Mr. Byakatonda. You're most welcome. Thank you.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for hosting me once again. And I want to thank you for the role you played during midterm access. I think you created awareness. As Native, we are grateful to you and your management.
Yeah. By the way, before you even go far with that, so how is it so far? People getting their funds?
Well, midterm access is now a law. It was signed by the president. The minister made the regulations. And it's being operationalized, people are getting money. But of course, the other thing is that they should sustainably use the money, strategically invest, so that they benefit out of this money. So that's the point, that midterm access is once in a lifetime. So they should be able to put it to full use and ensure that they get out of poverty using that small fund.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you look at the theme of this year's Labor Day, we'll be focusing on sustaining a healthy and safety measures for a workplace in all that, in just a nutshell of breaking it down for you this year. So we are clearly looking at the Labor Day preparations of Uganda today. So when you look at the year 2021, I do believe the labor force or the labor sector has contributed greatly to the growth of our economy. But what are those key highlights that the labor force, that you can actually take us back through 2021 from the labor force?
No, I think what is important to note is that first of all, as Parliament, we have ensured we make enabling laws. Laws that can ensure that we stimulate labor operations, laws that we think can promote collective bargaining, laws that we think can stimulate and enhance dispute settlement machinery into the organization. Because I think these are the key factors. We find that even when we talk of a safe and healthy environment culture, but without laws being into place, we may not actually be able to attain a number of things. So I think we need not to ignore these aspects. For example, we talk of the Dispute Settlement Machinery Act of 2008. Here, I think it's a message that every ministry, every department, every MDGs, every local government, and all administrative units of government must have what we call the consultative committees. These consultative committees are basically looking at the issues of policy pertaining the human resource, disputes pertaining the human resource, because we realize that when we don't actually resolve disputes amicably in our institutions or mutually, we miss a point, because you find that most of the institutions will not actually deliver, because they will be into fighting. You realize that Minister X is fighting Minister X. In the institution, maybe the CEO is fighting employee X, and then at the end of the day, you realize that the financial year can actually end. Then that is the money you are seeing that under the Public Management Act 17B, the money must be plowed back into the consolidated fund when it's not actually spent. I think these are the key issues. They look silent, but I think it's important to address them.
Okay.
So I think as a matter of urgency, we are trying to ensure that we compare all institutions of government that are in public sector to say that at least they address these matters urgently, or else we intend even to move a motion on the floor of Parliament to ensure that at least if the institution does not have this very key aspect of the law, the consultative committees, then it's not us appropriating money of such an institution. Yeah.
Let's also try to look at some of the contributions that the labor force, let's say from the Ugandan context, has had to the economy.
I think this is very important because the government came up with a number of key yardsticks some of these are milestones within the NRM manifesto, where one of the key aspects has been service delivery.
Okay.
This has actually given rise to a number of administrative units, so that service delivery is moved nearer to the people. That one has been a very key aspect. But of course, it requires a number of other ingredients that must be handled. And then the other one is ensuring that at least the mandate of certain institutions that are key are handled. And of course, as a parliament, we have appropriately managed a number of institutions. For example, institutions like that focus on agriculture, institutions that focus on value addition, and this has actually given rise to a number of aspects. For example, you find that we have the micro support center, we have the export promotion board, we have a number of institutions, and then UDC. All these institutions must actually look at ensuring that at least they enhance service delivery to the people.
Okay.
Of course, there are gaps that we feel these gaps must be filled, and ensure that one, we enhance and implement within the laws that are, the mechanisms that are available. And the other thing that Safes mentioned is that one, all these mechanisms, all these worker plans, all strategic plans must speak to the manifesto implementation, they must speak to National Development Plan 3, they must speak to Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay.
When we miss this, it means we are not actually doing enough and we shall be betraying ourselves. Sure. But I want to mention that one, Uganda is one of the countries that, as a part of Africa, that should work within that direction and ensure that we achieve a lot. Okay. Of course, this must be done when we announce our labor requirements and ensure that we enhance our laws and ensure that at least workers' rights are enhanced. Then we can achieve this number of milestones that we require.
Okay. Now let's also talk about the exportation of labor.
Yes.
To the foreign countries, more so to the Middle East, because this is where most of the companies that are here, the labor exporting companies, normally export these Ugandans to those countries in there to work. How has this transitioned and how has it changed the nature of labor in Uganda?
Yeah, I think externalization of labor has a number of mechanisms. Okay. Of course, government assertion is that one, when you export labor, I think we earn as a country in terms of revenue. But I'm heavily opposed to this because I think we no longer sleep. A lot of complaints. And you know, in the value of this issue where we are talking of global, where the sale of blood organs is at play, I would feel we would rather work on a mechanism to ensure that, because this is a diplomatic way of slavery. Because Uganda needs more of these use. We are one of the economies than exporting them. So I want to urge the government to the capacity of the Ugandans youth who are unemployed. Because it defeats logic to say that one, there are those that go through the mainstream streamlined approach. You find that people are actually lining up at internal affairs, process passports so that tomorrow they are going. You find that a number of companies have come to export Ugandans. I think this shouldn't be a commodity for export. This should be a commodity that we should announce and ensure that it fits within our development goals. Such that when we are talking of industrialization, let the line ministries, the Ministry of Finance, let the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Cooperatives, let the Ministry of Public Service be actually moved to know what are the number of people that we require, what is the capacity of our industries, how many can we employ per year. If you are talking of the party development model, how many can it employ? So that at least we are talking of business, we are talking of this in the business perspective. You find that when we do this, we shall be able to really move from, I think because we are tending towards ensure that at least we promote the country, ensure that the economy grows, ensure that all Ugandans are happy to live in their country. I think that has been a preoccupation of the NRM government, but I think we need to enhance in the implementation so that at least we will really we rejoice when we have our younger stars unemployed being absorbed in the industries. Because it's not just a matter of that, but we talk of the value chain, production value chain, where we are saying we should actually add the value. Yes. I think here for example, Mr. Sonko and the listeners and viewers, we are talking of now skyrocketing prices of soap. A soap has gone to 10,000. Then as a commodities. Then I think yesterday I was amused that I was seeing again diesel beating petrol in terms of
shooting 5,400.
you can imagine. So I think what we need to do the challenge has been over 80%. I think we are eating what we do not produce. And what's the trick?
Okay.
We need to ensure that one, we become a production unit, right from the family, the household. For example, things like a bus stop. Can't we produce it at our households? The mechanism that we require, the machinery that we require are very small. It's just making a mold, giving people, our people skills, and ensure that at least we produce this. Then we would be exporters. But the challenge has been that one, we don't actually focus on skilling of Ugandans. We don't actually recognize the importance of having a household as a manufacturing unit. I think these are issues that we can cascade into our development model arrangement.
Okay.
That at least we don't actually continue meandering and lingering over things that can be handled.
Okay.
And that is adequately.
Dr. Byakatonde, there is something I also wanted us to mention about, something about the minimum wage bill, and how far is it, and also when you look at the situation that most of our labor force here, the reason as why the externalization of labor is increasing is because most people choose to go because they believe there is more pay than here in the country.
I think that's absolutely right. Of course, what I want to say is that the minimum wage for any country is a very necessary policy direction that we need to look at. Because now you find that right from, let's look at our household workers. You find that some have been paying up to 50,000 a month. So that means somebody is born to work for 5 bars of soap a month. That's unacceptable. I think we want to engage government and have dialogue in this matter.
Okay.
Because I think the issue has been, it was misconstrued. For people to imagine that when you have a minimum wage, you will scare investors. I think that's absolutely very wrong. So we are now trying to come up with that so that we say that, one, because when you do not have a minimum wage, it means even collective bargaining is very difficult. And I will implore, it is a law, within the law, ILO convention, it is within the member states which are constituents of ILO, to ensure that at least the administration of minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
It's one of the, under the conventions and ILO recommendations, and which Uganda has also ratified. Even that countries, even in the region, I think it's us who don't have the minimum wage. It is in Kenya, it is in Tanzania. So we need really to lobby and ensure that we talk to government to understand this through dialogue.
Okay.
So that we have a minimum wage. I think we need to look at the other side of it, rather than just looking at the side of scaring investors. So as a parliament, we want to commit ourselves to ensure that we reactivate that talk discussion, because by the I think 109th parliament had gone to, it's 109th or 10th parliament had gone for assent, and then those other parameters came in, those dimensions who came in with negativity, and that's how it was actually shelved. But I think we need to reinstate it and ensure that it works out. Yes.
And I do believe for almost everyone out there in the labor force, working with the labor force, has been facing a number of challenges, and of which many are being addressed. Some companies provide solutions, others seek for government intervention, and however, in the long run, there are those that are yet to be addressed. So, Doctor, which are some of those challenges that you believe have been one of those key reports that you've been getting from the labor sector in Uganda?
Yeah,
and you believe that those are quite many?
One of the challenges, Mr. Song and the listeners, has been failing to embrace organized labor.
Okay.
By organized labor, we mean an advocacy where people are in true labor unions, and a tripartite arrangement where we're having government, employers, and the workers. This is very key, because when we have this arrangement, it means we have one, we can actually engage in collective bargaining, we can engage in dispute settlement machinery mechanisms, we can engage in increased productivity. Because right now, I think under the Public Service Negotiating Consultative and Dispute Settlement Machinery of 2008. We are saying in all government agencies we must have a consultative committee. And I think this is what we have been in, because I'm a member of the Public Accounts Committee, local government, and I'm also on the Committee of Gender. These are very key committees, but I think we are now trying to tell these districts, because we find that one, the human resource officer are responsible for some of the mistakes. They don't actually read the law and actually advise their agencies, because they are this should be consultants of the what? Of the labor matters. Then we in every district have a labor officer. These ones are even mandated under the law to visit any industries, to visit any institutions, For example, look at this scenario of Dembe Enterprise on 6th Street, where a driver was tortured and even killed. I think this is a gross abuse of human rights, workers' rights. So you find that the person you are killing scares of the employees, then it actually kills the motivation, because the employers are not sure. Maybe tomorrow it is me will be killed, erroneously like that. So these are matters that we need to handle very urgently. And I think it's not inadequacies of laws, but it's lack of implementation
of these laws. For
example, we find that now, if Minister of Gender and Labour and Social Development is to handle matters and issue compensations, they must have the Labour Advisory Board. But we find that they don't have the Labour Advisory Board. So they're not making awards. And these are issues that we need to address urgently. So I think I've been into these things for quite a time, because by training I'm a human resource practitioner. I've been a human resource manager for some time. I've also been on policy level, where I've been a member of the consultative committee in the Ministry of Public Service. And I'm the one who drafted the first collective bargaining agreement since independence. Uganda, and then it was actually passed and enacted into. But I think even the implementation is not actually being done. Because what we need to solve matters, because one, in the world of work, under that law, we are talking of the negotiable and consultative. We are talking of issues of welfare, we are talking issues of leave, we are talking of issues of rest, we are talking of issues of salary, we are talking of issues of training. All these are clustered and actually categorized into this. So once these are handled, then it will mean that at least we are meeting the international minimum standards, labor standards. But per se, we are not actually reached there, and we need to move towards that direction. And ensure that the laws are not actually shared with, but they should be implemented. For example, if there are no consultative committees, means even the negotiating council cannot actually have business. Then we are talking of the Public Service Tribunal. Then we are talking of the Industrial Court. So it should be a complete system so that the things flow properly, and then the matters can be handled.
You've mentioned about something to do with the labor unions.
Yes.
Do you believe there can be a solution to some of these challenges, then they can address some of these challenges of the employees, their workers, to their bosses?
I think the labor unions are the vehicle to prosperity. Because they come into force within the local laws, our constitution, and a number of legal infrastructure. But from the point of traceability, they derive from the international law. And we are talking about ILO, International Labour Organization, to which Uganda is one of the constituents of that other entity, and a number of frameworks that are available. So when we have labor unions, it means one, we are increasing on the voice to negotiate. We have now organized labor. These are the push to actually enhance productivity. But the challenge has been that there has been a miss, where people believe when people get organized labor unions, they are going to be chaotic. That's not the issue. The issue is that one, we are now streamlining processes, and you find that where labor unions are existing, it will be easier for people to work and attain goals. And then at the end of the day, we are looking at actually streamlined approaches to increase productivity. We are having a trained labor force. We are having a dispute settlement machinery. So at the end of the day, it works out well. For example, fortune companies that can measure to that we call the 360 degrees have actually embraced labor unionization.
Because they believe it can work out.
It can work out. Because one, the challenge has been some CEOs don't actually embrace labor unions when the day they are fired or illegally terminated. That's when they want to come. That's when they will come and say, oh, well, we also support union, but when the organizations they don't have. But right now, you find that now we are losing money because most of the institutions are mishandling staff, and they are ever in the courts of law, then courts are awarding fines. So if for example, an employee is awarded 500 million because of erroneous dismissal, because of illegal or wrongful dismissal, it's the institution that actually suffers. You will find that one, it will cut on the number of service delivery. Let's say it's a health-related institution. Let's say it is a school. Let's say it's a university. Let's say it is a district. You will find that, of course, the money will be cut from the appropriated funds and ensure that you will handle that. Because we have time frames. Or else the courts will issue orders to ensure that they attach property, they attach things of an institution. And this cartels. And yet, this because the mechanism of dispute is very cheap under the labor union. Because one, it tells that if, for example, at a district, the chief administrative officer becomes the chair
Okay.
of the consultative committee. The human resources is the secretary. Then there's 5 members of the management, 6 members of their council management. Then now you have 5 members from the labor unions. That's the idea what's supposed to be even right from any ministry in Uganda. But you find that, so at the ministerial level, the PS is supposed to be the chairman. Then maybe the commissioner in charge of human resources becomes the secretary, and other members of management. Then they should have the 5 who should be on that. And now this now will even help them look at now is the issue of financing. You have a ceiling. Then you can now forward it to the issue of disputes. You must handle them within there and resolve them. So how does it help? You will find that it will help in a way that you have a ceiling on recruitment. You can now sit as a working committee, consultative committee, send that matter to Minister of Public Service. That will send it to cabinet, and then the matter is resolved. But the problem is in the absence of these systems, even government institutions that are supposed to be deemed stable with under that law, you will find that we are moving in vicious circles. Everybody will come with his own arrangement. Everybody will say fire this one. Then at the end of the day, somebody has taken them to court. At the end of the day, things fail. So in that shell, we need it, and it's important to have these mechanisms in place. So as we cover this Labor Day, I think we shall ensure that we compel most of the institutions to ensure that they have this. Not most, but I think all institutions of government must. Then in the private sector, let there be a collective bargaining agreement. Because the collective bargaining agreement is now detailing, we are talking about performance contracts.
Okay.
We are talking about remunerations. Okay. We are talking about what is entitled to the employee. And then this should derive, for example, from the laws, the Constitution, Employment Act, and a number of legal infrastructure. At the end of the day, you can know, because in law we say that ignorance of the law is no defense.
Yes.
But you find that some people are taken to court, that's when they now know.
Doctor, there is also something I want you to highlight on regarding the theme still of this year's Labor Day. Mention something about the health and safety.
Yes.
And how can we ensure the safety of employees at their workplaces? Because this is also another huge challenge. It doesn't only affect Ugandans, but everywhere, wherever you go, it is a very huge challenge for most of the employers.
I think this is, it's not only for the employers, but I think it is even affecting the employees and even the government. Because when we are talking about the minimum standards, of course, we are not talking about health and safety, the absence of anything, but I think we are talking about what is required under the World Health Organization, what are the standards
that are supposed to be.
There should be standards of desirability.
Okay.
So this must be worked on. And I think by the time you start to employ, it is important for people to know about these basics, such that at least you cascade them into your policies and actually put them at your workplaces. Because, for example, under the worker management compensation, if I sit on the chair and it's a bad posture, and maybe I leave your company, up to 2 years, I can make a claim with the Chief Magistrate's Court and I'll be awarded. And the award is there if my doctor proves that it's because of the sitting posture. It's because of the aeration.
That your health is...
The fines, the costs are slapped on the employer.
Okay, this is now getting more interesting.
Yes. Okay. So these are the laws that we have, but of course people do not actually bother. Even I think the employees not know the laws.
They're ignorant about them. Do the employers give them the chance to know?
I think we need to induct people. I wouldn't say the employers know what the employees don't know. Okay. But generally a situation of obsolescence. Okay. Where we need to actually ensure that we sensitize our people. Because what constitutes a dispute, what constitutes a complaint, what constitutes an offense, these are issues that we need to know. Most of these awards are not done because maybe people are interested, but they take it for granted. They imagine it's a simple thing. And at the end of the day, they find themselves caught between the rock and the hard place. Okay. Yes.
As we're leaving out the discussion to do with Labor Day, I want us to sum up our discussion with the NSSF. But what do you believe employers should do to at least make a better place, a working place better for an employee? Because some employees have, today we just had a report coming in from India that most of the employees are either resigning from their workplaces and then the others those who are resigning no longer want to actually seek for any other job.
Yes.
Because of the working environments,
Yes.
and then the other issue about the wages also. But when you look at that in a Ugandan context, what should these employers do to create an environment which is friendly for their employees?
I think what we need to do, the employers need to streamline and ensure that they put motivation, incentives in their workplaces.
Okay.
And incentives are not actually financial. Some of them even just, if Mr. Songoye is given, Labor Day is given a certificate to say one of our best employers, and you take it in the whole of your house, you will be happy. If you have been coming at 8, you might even want to sleep here. These are incentives. Some of them are intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic ones are actually non-financial. Then the other thing is, what I want to urge employers is that one, we should ensure that we put mechanisms in place. Some of the things are not workable. But if you give an employer a medical card, for example, you're putting him on medical insurance, this person will be motivated. And you find that an employee will fall sick without medical insurance and goes to the hospital. You saw during the COVID, where people were paying 250 million, but those ones with insurance were being actually handled. So you find that you are paying 500,000 maybe to insurance X.
Okay.
But your employee is getting actually a lot of services. And yet without that, maybe you go for one visit and they will say 1.5 million. But with under insurance, I think this is very important. So insurance is one of those aspects. Then employers should also look at engaging into meaningful diversification programs. For example, under ILO recommendation 154, we are talking about cooperatives. We are certain employees in an organization. I encourage them to ensure that they even open up their cooperative. What's their cooperative supposed to help them? They are borrowing money here to pay their fees. They are now trying to save their money. They are promoting a culture of saving. This is twofold. It will be helping employees to get money easily, without even security and cheap interest rates. Then it will be relieving the burden from the employers. Because if you don't do that, then they will be coming every day. Salary advance. Finance is saying there is no money, but the man wants salary advance. Because he or she has a burning problem. So at the end of the day, you find that at least we may not be helping one another under the tripartite arrangement. But when we do this, it can help. By, for example, having an insurance policy is very important. Then at least a culture of saving, where people are saving under cooperative employees.
Okay.
You'll find that at the end of the day, in most institutions, even the employees are even borrowing their employers' money from their circle because they have money. The culture, yes. Okay. And then, of course, what I want to encourage employees, let's not look at salary as the only way out. Salary is a very big challenge because you find that you have borrowed money in financial institution, and when you look at the pay slip, you cannot even meet the basic utilities. And at the end of the day, that becomes a motivation.
Okay.
That's why you find that there are high levels of absence in most of our institutions. Productivity is very low. You ask somebody, you go to an organization and ask, what is your vision? Somebody doesn't even tell you the vision. What's the mission? They don't want to know, so because they have not even lost hope. That's the scenario you're telling me that in India most people are resigning. But if people are motivated, if people are seeing incentives at workplaces, you will find that they will not even look at the salary, but they will look at the mission, their vision.
They love,
and they will actually have a sense of belonging to the institution, and that is the way to go. And I think most of the 14 companies are doing that. Most of the countries we are seeing are doing that. Because, for example, you find that they will tell you Finland is the most stable economy, but how would they manage it? I think they are looking at development right from dispute settlement right from the household. Okay. And I think that's what should cascade in our development model. Well,
and yes. I think this one is going to the general public as well. Anyone out there who's starting up a business and you have someone you're employing, motivating them is very, very important. Giving them those incentives. Any motivation can clearly give them a way forward and more strength to love their job. So, Doctor, let's also now get into the issue of the NSSF midterm access. People are accessing the money. But then we also had some people who did not who had actually their applications denied. When you look at that, why were some of those denied?
Okay, I think what we need to know, because when we processed the midterm access bill, which became law, we were looking at the two controversial aspects were saving and contribution. So I think when we were making the regulations, I think they talked of contribution as opposed to saving. So that one I think curtailed some of the categories of people. But I think we are engaging with the means of gender to ensure that that is rectified. But what I was to mention, the number of under the NSSF, of course many people are accessing, that one should not be denied. And they are happy. Because you remember when I last appeared on this TV, some callers, some people, the myth was that this can't be possible. Government doesn't have money. It has been proven that the money is available. And even I think they have opened up channels through even the phones, through even the intranet, so that people can access their money. And then of course the other one, of course people who are retiring, the mandatory age people are accessing their money. For example, if you have 50 years and out of employment for 2 years, you're accessing money. Of course, this disablement or all those other forms, you are getting money. And I would like to employ people to ensure that they utilize their money. That has a lacuna which is in the instruments shall be addressed.
Okay.
So that at least the intended beneficiaries get the money. But of course, the challenge is that some people are saying, I'm 43, but I want to forge around and get. Now, I want to say, I'm terminally ill so that I access the money.
So how about, are there any ways that you can support, or any strategies that have been laid to support some of these employees who have their employers not paying for them the NSSF?
Of course, within the law, it is a crime for somebody to submit money. And of course, that one will be handled under the NSSF. They are coming up with enforcement, they are compliance departments, and then ensure that at least they follow. But it is also incumbent upon the employees to ensure that when you are working in an organization, follow up and see whether your money is being remitted. But you find that most of the employees do not even know how much money they have actually accumulated under the NSSF. It's no longer their business. So that kind of, I think that there should be mindset change.
Okay.
You know that at least people are vigilant about what belongs to them. And then at the end of the day, you must actually ensure that you are the one who should be the first complaint to NSSF and say, my employer is deducting my money, but it's not actually remitting. I've visited a number of institutions and I found that has been a very big challenge. You find that most institutions have been deducting money for the savers for years, a total of billions, but they have not been remitting. So I want to urge employers to ensure that that is not money. You don't treat it as a grant, you don't treat it as a lottery. That is hard-earned money. Make sure within your system, you should even automate so that the money is automatically even remitted without any delays.
Okay.
It will save you, because that has become a law. In making the law, we agree that when an employer is not remitting money, should be prosecuted, but then should also pay interest up to 20% of the money until the money is paid to zero.
Okay.
Yes, so I think that one has been catered for under this amendment.
All right.
Yes.
And now, Doctor, as we are summing up, I'm giving you let me give you 2 minutes for your final remarks as we are ending up with this discussion.
Thank you so much for hosting me, but I think I want to urge the government, I want to urge the employees, I want to urge the employers under the tripartite arrangement, so that at least we streamline systems that are going to make us a fortunate country, systems that are going to make the companies fortunate company by the way we how we handle the laws. And let's allow unionization of our employees. You'll find that it reduces a lot of challenges that institutions have. But for them, they think when the employees unionize, I think they are going to be a challenge to me. No, that's not true. Because one, the policy, if it is a policy on redundancy, it will be there, it should be handled. So unionization is actually very, very important. And the country, that's why I find that the developed economies are going very ahead. Okay. Very far out ahead of us. Because for them, I think it is automatic that unionization is a must. And it's even a constitutional provision under section Article 29.
Okay.
Under Article 24 of the Constitution, under Article 40 of the Constitution.
Trade unions are supposed to be okay.
So I don't know why people really deny even the constitutional provision, and if it is even within the global, which is under the ILO Convention. Okay. So I want to thank you for hosting me. I want to thank the listeners for viewing. The viewers, and then let's have an opportunity to ensure that we harmonize and have these things done. But as a country, the labor force must be at the forefront of every program if you are to develop. Yes.
And of course, when you look at the situation to do with the Labor Day, which will be celebrated Sunday, this very week, there are a lot of key things that the labor force in Uganda has actually achieved, the contributions it has to the economy of Uganda, and also even those Ugandans out of the country, we shall still be celebrating you, or we are still celebrating you. From the labor exporting companies as well, we celebrate almost everyone who is taking part in making sure that the employment in Uganda is actually on top there. But there are a number of challenges that need to be changed and that need to be tackled, and solutions need to be found by most of the employers, and also creating an atmosphere most probably for people in Uganda and also for people out of Uganda, more so the Ugandans who are going out there to hustle hard to make more of the money. But then if I told you an employer, creating a motivation is very, very important as well. And also, Doctor, there is a caucus meeting today. So what are some of the expectations that we can get from them?
Of course, yes, from what I've gathered, we are looking at the controversial coffee deal.
Okay.
We are looking at a number of government programs and of course the implementation. These are normally meant to review certain positions that can, for the better.
Okay.
So the caucus is on today, and I think by 10 members will be assembling at Kololo for the discussions. Yes.
Your take on the coffee deal though?
Coffee deal, I think what I must say is that one, we need to benchmark certain programs. And let's have competence profiling. And let's do stakeholder engagement before we enter into partnerships. As a government, I think that's the best way to go. Otherwise, the way we rush, kangaroo style is normally dangerous, and people are likely to crash.
Okay. There's Dr. Biakatonda Abdul. I think it's a happy Ramadan. Still in Ramadan.
We are there.
Okay. And I think next week, after Labor Day, is expected.
By Sunday, inshallah, we shall be.
Okay.
Of course, it's not an inconvenience, so that we shall miss the month. I wish to go on for a year.
And to all the Muslim community who have been part of our discussion, still a happy Ramadan situation, and let's say happy Ramadan for you, and happy fasting season as well. Still here, and after the break, we return with sports business. Stick around.